Disturbing footage has come out featuring A'ja Wilson and her entire Las Vegas Aces team trying to pretty much flop, assault, do whatever they can to get that win yesterday, but it was just not enough, guys. This is some disturbing content.
So everyone's buzzing about this wild new footage, right? It shows A'ja Wilson really going overboard with Lexi Hull. We're not talking about tough physical basketball here. This was straight up dirty, and people are calling it out big time. From elbows to all these flops, the Aces just look desperate out there, and the Fever were absolutely not having any of it. It makes you wonder, should the league step in after seeing clips like this? The WNBA wanted intensity, but what they got was this footage. And now fans are literally screaming foul. This new video shows Wilson throwing elbows, setting moving screens, clearly illegal, and just shoving Lexi Hull around like it was some backyard game with no ref. And what's crazy is, the refs basically swallowed their whistles until it was way too obvious to ignore.
15 shots. Come on, Isaac! Waning seconds.
Look, let's just say it how it is. This was absolutely dirty. It wasn't just physical playoff basketball. It wasn't some smart gamesmanship. It was flat out dirty. And here's the kicker, the irony of it all. Wilson had just been awarded her 4th MVP. 4-time MVP, and this is the kind of performance she put on. Missing layups left and right, flopping all over the court, and then on top of that, taking out all her frustration on Lexi Hull. Lexi, who's one of the Fever's toughest, most crucial glue players. Honestly, it was just pathetic to watch.
Hammond made it her business to say before the game, you know, we're going to play the Indiana Fever, but we're a new Aces team. They haven't synced the real Las Vegas Aces yet. I think we all remember her saying that, because I damn sure remember her saying that. Now, I'm here to tell you, I guess we synced the real Las Vegas Aces team, because I said it once and I'll say it again. Kelsey Mitchell came out of that locker room with her belt on with spikes on it. She had a belt with spikes on it. And she put that belt right on the hiney of Becky Hammond, A'ja Wilson, Joelle Lloyd, and the entire damn team. I mean, she unloaded on them quite profusely, dog. She was hitting shots from damn near top of the rafters. Kelsey Mitchell made it her business to make them look like the worst damn team in the WNBA for about 60 minutes and some change.
Of course, Becky Hammond tried to play it down. Before the game, she promised fans we'd see the real Las Vegas Aces. Well, I guess we did, right? Because the real Aces, they're a team that panics the second Kelsey Mitchell starts lighting them up. The real Aces are a team that resorts to cheap shots when Aaliyah Boston completely shuts down their so-called superstar. And the real Aces are a team that just got embarrassed on their home court, all while pretending they're still the unstoppable juggernaut everyone used to fear. So, let's dig into this new footage. First up, Wilson leans right into Lexi Hull and blatantly shoves her to the floor on a screen. That's not a legal screen, folks. That's a moving screen with an extra shove. Did the refs call it? Nah, no. They just let it slide. Because apparently, if you're A'ja Wilson, you can basically do whatever you want out there.
Let's see.
Leans into Lexi Hull, pushes her. Look at this. Pushes Lexi Hull down. Like, I can't take this crap. I'm sick of watching it over and over. That's a moving screen. And then pushes her again. Look at that. You can't do that. They didn't call.
Then get this. Came the elbows. Wilson swings high, catches Powers, and somehow Powers is the one whistled for the foul. That's what's making fans absolutely sick. When Fever players just breathe on Wilson, it's a foul. But when Wilson's swinging arms and throwing people to the floor, crickets, total silence. Except of course for the fans booing in utter disbelief. And plus, we can't forget the flop fest. Wilson goes up for a layup. Nobody touches her. She flails around like she just got hit by a bus. And the refs, they buy it. Meanwhile, Caitlin Clark, who by the way is now in her 2nd year, is watching all of this go down and literally yelling flop from the court. You just can't make this stuff up. The Fever's young star saw right through the act and called it out loud. That's how ridiculously obvious it was. But here's the thing, the most disturbing part of it all, that consistent shove on Lexi Hull. Over and over, Wilson leaned in, pushed her, and just tried to intimidate her. Now, Hull isn't flashy. She's not dropping 30 points a night, but she is the absolute heartbeat of Indiana's defense. She hustles, she makes smart plays, and she flat out refuses to back down. So what does Wilson do? She tries to bully her, and the camera's caught every single moment. Fans are furious, and they have every right to, because this isn't just about one dirty play. This is about a clear pattern. The Aces have been relying on whistles, on flops, and on intimidation all season long. And when that stuff doesn't work, they look completely lost. The Fever totally exposed it, and now the footage is out there for everyone to see. Meanwhile, let's talk about Kelsey Mitchell for a second. While Wilson was busy playing what looked like sumo wrestling with Lexi Hull, Mitchell was absolutely torching the Aces like it was just a shooting drill. I mean, 34 points in 34 minutes. Do the math. That's basically a point every single minute. At one point, she was so hot it looked like she was shooting from the rafters and still draining everything. The Aces had no answers, and Wilson's defense was just more pushing and flailing. This is exactly why the footage is so damning. On one side, you've got a team playing actual basketball, executing plays, hitting shots, playing defense. On the other, you've got a team pretending they're in a WWE ring. Wilson throws an elbow. Becky Hammon throws her arms up in frustration. Jackie Young chucks up contested shots. Meanwhile, the scoreboard is showing the Fever up double digits. And yet, we're supposed to call Wilson the MVP, a player who on the same night she was honored, missed layup after layup, shoved players to the floor, and still couldn't stop Indiana from running laps around her team. How many MVPs really play like that? Better yet, how many MVPs have to resort to this kind of nonsense because they just can't keep up? But let's get real for a second. The refs absolutely let this happen. That's the only reason it escalated the way it did. From the opening tip, they were giving Vegas every soft call imaginable. The Fever would drive to the rim, get hacked, and get no whistle. Wilson would just breathe heavily on the other end, and boom, foul. That imbalance completely set the tone, and Vegas exploited it hard. But the cameras don't lie. The footage makes it crystal clear who was really playing dirty. And Aaliyah Boston, she deserves so much credit here too. She didn't lose her cool, not once. She just kept battling Wilson, possession after possession. Even when Wilson shoved, even when she flopped, Boston just kept defending. She forced Wilson into a pathetic 27%. Think about that. The so-called unstoppable MVP couldn't even crack 30%. That's not dominance, folks. That's a total shutdown. And then there's Caitlin Clark again. Even from the sideline, her voice was heard, calling out flops, keeping her team totally fired up. People forget she's only in her second year, but she already carries herself like a true veteran leader. The Fever didn't just outplay the Aces, they completely outclassed them. And Clark's presence is a huge part of that culture shift. Now Vegas fans are scrambling, trying to defend Wilson, saying, oh, everyone plays physical. Sure, physical is fine, but elbows, shoves, and flops, that's dirty. And when the footage clearly shows it, no amount of excuses is going to cover it up. The reality is, Wilson lost her composure, and Lexi Hull was the target. But Hull, she didn't break. She took the hits, got right back up, and kept playing. That's toughness. That's Indiana Fever basketball. So where does all this leave us? The Aces look desperate. The Fever look incredibly confident. And the fans are left wondering how many more times the refs are going to let Wilson get away with this. Because if they don't step in soon, this kind of footage is just gonna keep surfacing, and the league's credibility, it's gonna take a major hit. Let's really dig into why this footage matters so much. This isn't just about one rough game. You know, it's about a four-time MVP completely losing her cool, and in the process, exposing her team's biggest weakness. A'ja Wilson wasn't dominating out there, not at all. So she resorted to elbows, shoves, and antics that honestly belong on a highlight reel for all the wrong reasons. That specific clip where she slams into Lexi Hull, pushes her down, and then tries to act like it was just contact. That says everything you need to know. What's crazy is, Hull isn't the type of player who goes looking for attention. She doesn't flop. She doesn't cry to the refs. So when Wilson is caught on camera, clearly shoving her to the floor like that, it just hits different. Fans believe Hull because she's got a reputation for pure toughness, not for theatrics. Now compare that with Wilson. On the very same night, she was honored as MVP again. She was flopping on layups like she'd been hit by a bus when literally no one touched her. Caitlin Clark saw it. The Fever bench saw it. Everyone in the arena saw it. That's why those chants of flops started echoing, and honestly, they were totally deserved. When you've got to fake contact just to get calls, you're not looking like the best player in the league. You're looking like someone who's been exposed. And that's the bigger story here, right? The Aces just can't function unless Wilson is playing like Superman. When she struggles, the whole team collapses. Yeah, Jackie Young chipped in some points, and Chelsea Gray hit a few shots, but none of it mattered because the Fever's defense forced Vegas into absolute chaos. Meanwhile, Indiana didn't rely on just one player. Mitchell exploded, sure, but she had help from everywhere. Boston, Turner, Sims, Hull, everyone contributed. That's why the Fever are winning. The body language from Becky Hammon on the sideline told you everything too. She looked frustrated, totally out of answer. At one point, she literally just sat down, shaking her head. She probably realized her team had turned into a parody of itself. This so-called dynasty reduced to flopping and complaining, while Indiana played pure, disciplined basketball. You just can't coach your way out of your star player throwing elbows and bricking layups. And speaking of layups, Wilson missed them over and over. Four-time MVP, and she's blowing bunnies right under the rim. You know what fans said? They won't talk about that. They'll just keep talking about Caitlin. And it's true, every time the Fever make headlines, the spin somehow goes right back to Clark. But here's the truth, Wilson's bad night wasn't about Caitlin Clark at all. It was purely about Aja Wilson not being able to handle Aliyah Boston. Simple as that. Boston deserves all the credit in the world. She didn't back down once. She didn't retaliate when she was shoved. She didn't flop when she was elbowed. She just played defense, possession after possession, until Wilson's field goal percentage looked like a type. That's what separates Boston from Wilson right now. One keeps her composure, the other loses it. And when Wilson lost it, she unfortunately turned to Lexi Hull as her outlet. The footage caught it all. Fans are calling it dirty, and they're absolutely right. This wasn't just being physical. This was reckless, unnecessary, and totally unsportsmanlike. You can play tough without cheap shots. The Fever do it every single night. They press, they trap, they contest everything, all without throwing players to the floor. But the Aces, they decided to play WWE instead of WNBA, and the cameras caught every single second. Plus, let's not ignore the refs in all this either. Their selective blindness is a huge part of why this keeps happening. At one point, Kelsey Mitchell drove for a layup, got hacked, and somehow ended up with a foul called on her. They even tacked on a technical. Meanwhile, Wilson's clear shove on Hull went completely uncalled until fans saw it on replay. That's not just bad officiating. That's the league's credibility slipping away. And get this, here's where the panic really sets in for the league. You simply can't market yourself as serious, competitive basketball when your MVP is caught on camera shoving players and flopping like she's auditioning for a soap opera. It makes the entire product look cheap. The Fever are trying to drag the league forward with actual legitimate basketball. The Aces, they're dragging it backward with these antics. Now let's circle back to Kelsey Mitchell, 34 points. Non-stop energy, and the confidence of someone who is just done being overlooked. She embarrassed the Aces, plain and simple. And the funniest part, while Wilson was resorting to all these dirty plays, Mitchell was just playing ball. She didn't need elbows. She didn't need flops. She just outscored everyone on the court. That contrast makes the footage of Wilson look even worse. The Fever are quickly becoming the story of the playoffs because they're exposing not just teams, but entire narratives. The Aces are unstoppable storyline. Gone. The Wilson is untouchable storyline. Gone. Even the Caitlin Clark is just a rookie storyline. Is gone because Clark is in her second year now. And the Fever are winning even without her absolutely dominating the floor. This dirty footage isn't just embarrassing for Wilson, it's symbolic of how desperate the Aces have become, while Indiana is clearly on the rise. Fans are absolutely noticing. Social media lit up the second these clips hit timelines. Words like disgusting, pathetic, and dirty were trending right alongside Wilson's name. Meanwhile, Fever fans flooded the comments, praising Hall for staying tough, praising Boston for her incredible defense, and praising Mitchell for carrying the offense. The contrast couldn't be clearer, could it? One side looks like a future dynasty, the other looks like it's completely falling apart. And honestly, it's bigger than just this one game. The Aces have leaned on Wilson's whistle for years. She just gets calls that others don't, but when the footage clearly shows her fouling, shoving, and missing, fans stop buying that narrative. The WNBA can't protect that forever. And if the Fever keep winning, the league won't even be able to hide it. Because nothing covers up losing by double digits, no matter how many MVP trophies you hand out. So where does this all go next? The Fever have all the momentum. The league has a serious PR problem. And the Aces, they have a decision to make. Play actual basketball, or keep embarrassing themselves with this nonsense. Because the footage isn't going anywhere. Every push, every elbow, every flop, it's all out there now. And fans, they are not forgiving it. Lexi Hull walked off that floor bruised, but totally unbroken. Wilson walked off it exposed. And the Fever, they walked off with the win, the receipts, and all the respect. Dirty play just doesn't beat discipline. Cheap shots don't beat teamwork. And flopping sure doesn't beat 34 points from Kelsey Mitchell. The footage says it all. A'ja Wilson absolutely crossed the line. Lexi Hull took the hits, and the Fever kept winning anyway. Fans aren't fooled at all, and the league is definitely under pressure.